fun. I enjoy PvP. It's a lot of fun. Especially amongst the Koreans. Like, yo, how could you not enjoy, like, Classic versus Hero? Like, that's some of the best, like, 10 minutes of your life, you know? It's great. Can't get wrong with Classic versus Hero. But here we go, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Site Delta. We have the South Korean Blue Zerg player representing Team Vitality. It is Solar. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss player. He just took down Raynor 2-1. Currently teamless, but deserving to be on a team. It is NightMare. Shout out to Volts, Papi. Shout out to Volts. Big shout out to Volts. Volts, of course, we were casting Volts earlier today in the first round. Thank you so much for competing as well. I know that it's not a good time in Americas, as in it's like 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. in the morning. So get some rest. Get some rest. Hope you have a good night's sleep. Hope you're able to rest up. And thank you so much for competing. It's always great. It's always something that I champion. Seeing like North American or Latin American players competing in these ESL weeklies in EPT Asia, just because I know that, yo, if we get someone from the Americas, North or South, competing in here, you know that they're passionate, okay? You know the passion is real, because you're playing at like 4 a.m. in the morning. We also know that you're a little bit degenerate, but it's fine. it's fine, it's fine. We like it, Papi, we like it. So much love. Thank you so much. Ooh. As we are selling on in so far, Hatch Gas Pool, standard opener out of NightMare. NightMare? Sorry. Standard opener out of Solar. Likewise, standard opener out of NightMare as well, going for a gate expand into the cyber core. Everything is looking as it should. Everything looking as it should so far. We're really just looking for any kind of deviation here, any sign of aggression. We'll keep an eye on the tech of NightMare, whether he goes for a Stargate or a Twilight Council. There it is. We do have the Stargates on the way. So everything looking normal from the side of NightMare. It's going to be a Stargate opener into Oracles, into a third base. We do have the option to go into a Void Ray opener, for example, like a Void Ray or a Phoenix instead. That will change things. That is a way to shut down and deny vision and scouting and to keep the Zerg player in the dark. But that's more of a rarity. That isn't seen as often nowadays. We'll keep an eye on NightMare nonetheless. So now we're just settling in towards the mid game. We are just settling in. Speaking of, oh my god, I'm glad I mentioned it. Okay, so it is going to be a Void Ray opener, and NightMare spicing things up a little bit. Now, with this Void Ray, as we mentioned, we're going to be hunting down Overlords. We're going to be hunting down the Overlords, forcing them all to turn back around and come back home. And we will be able to hide what comes next. Now, what comes next doesn't have to be crazy. Like, this could lead into double Stargate Mass Phoenix, double Stargate Sky Toss, could lead into a Twilight Council and Glaive Adepts. It could lead into some kind of crazy form of tech and aggression, or it could just be a third and just a macro build into like +1 Blink Stalkers. Like, it could just still be a standard game from here. But that's what's scary. It could be standard, or it could not be. So the onus is now on Solar to piece together what it is and to be safe against it. So you can see Solar pulling back his Overlords with the arrival of that Void Ray. Third base is being taken. And really, I'm just looking to see what the tech is. Twilight Council gets thrown down. If we don't throw down a Forge, this does look like Glaive Adepts. Yeah, we only made one Oracle. Adepts a shade into the main. Oh, we get one drone. One drone, two drones gonna go down, and not bad. We pick up a couple of extra workers as we shut down the Adepts. They do shade away. And they will barely manage to waddle away, but the Lings should chase them down, should clean them up. Without a Forge, with this Twilight Council, with the Gateway Explosion, this should be Glaives. Could even be a niche charge build. But show us what you got. Ha! As we are waiting for our upgrade of choice. There we go. We have the gas for it, and there it is. Glaives are on the way. So this is a very common follow-up from a Void Ray opener. As a reminder, there's no robo, so there's no Warp Prism to get across the map. This is not an all-in. This is a way to get ahead economically by crippling the Zerg player and killing as many drones as possible. Basically, we're going to be warping in wave after wave of Adept back at home, building up an Adept count, shading across the map, and ideally catching the Zerg player with their hands down. Right now, Solar's droning, and Solar does not have a Roach Warren. No Roach Warren. Why would there be, right? Especially against a Stargate opener. So a Zerg player is more vulnerable here to these later Adepts. There it is. Roach Warren now gets thrown down at around the 335 mark. What, 335? What? Sorry, 535 is what I meant to say. And the Adepts, they should be moving out across the map momentarily. They are scouted. Big scout by Solar. He knows what's going on. And back at home, we are amassing Lings. Lings, Queens. We could even try to wall off the natural here. Curious if we will try. As the Adepts are pushing. Now, the downside for NightMare is that this is delaying Blink. It's delaying Blink, delayed +1. The follow-up tech is going to be a little bit later here for NightMare because of all these Adepts. And we will be canceling a base. Hatchery is canceled. Not bad. Void Ray in position to deny any fourth base towards the south. Queens have to rotate in. Adepts, they don't commit to the shade. But they want that fourth base once again. And the Void Ray does stand strong. Drone making its way towards that hatchery, but here come the Adepts. Ooh, they do force another cancel. And this is pretty good damage. Again, NightMare, he's not losing anything. He's not throwing any Adepts away. He still has map control because of those Adepts, and he's just denying the fourth over and over again, containing Solar. Roaches have now arrived. Behind this, NightMare switching into Colossus production. Colossi plus on-blink Stalkers. And because we still have all these Adepts alive, Solar can't really counterattack. If Solar pushes, then NightMare can just counterattack and get into a mineral line with his Adepts. So Solar's stuck at home. He's stuck at home at least until we get Roach Speed. Roach Speed is on the way. Bailey Nest, Infestation Pits, further tech. Adepts, they once again go in, and they should be able to shut down one of those roaches before shading away. Ooh, Observer does go down. Good pick up. So it does shut down the Observer. NightMare behind this, still building up. And Solar, he hasn't been resting on his laurels either. I mean, his fourth base is very late, which is brutal, don't get me wrong. Like Solar, his economy is delayed, his production is delayed. This is a really rough timing for the fourth. But behind this, we have a Hive in production. And this could just be to rush into Vipers as quickly as possible. The armies are going to be clashing. Back at home, being run by does bust in. Do wall off. Adept goes out, but we have an Oracle in position. And NightMare is pushing. NightMare again, a 1-2 punch. Solar, he's still recovering from the delayed fourth. Solar, he's still building up, and he barely has a standing army. Bailings are about to finish. And we'll roll in. They're going for the Stalkers, going for whatever they can. They take down a handful of Stalkers, but the Colossi rains down upon the Roaches. And it looks like we should be able to break through. GG gets called. NightMare takes game number 1. GG. NightMare snowballing out of control. And again, this win was off the back and so heavily reliant on the fact that NightMare, he contained and denied the fourth for so long. Solar, he was stuck on a 3-base economy, and because he was so delayed, he finally got into his fourth base. He was finally able to drone, finally able to tech up, but everything else was just, again, so hindered because of it. Barely handed army. And NightMare, I'm sure, fully aware that Solar was still stabilizing, came in and made sure that Solar could not stand back up, knocked him down once again. GG. GG, well played. NightMare, 1 game away from making it into the semifinals. He's popping off tonight. Oh my god. He's crazy. Cool. And here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg representing Team Vitality. Down in the series, looking to bounce back here and now, it is Solar. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the Red Protoss player from South Korea, leading the series 1-0. One game away from advancing on into the semifinals, it is NightMare. Here we go. But a shout out to the people that are also watching on other platforms. So those who don't know, we stream now both on Twitch and YouTube. Ever since last year, end of last year, Twitch did kind of alleviate some of their rulings, and they allow now for affiliates and partners to multi-stream, to stream on multiple platforms. So yeah, shout out to the people on YouTube. Shout out. And on Twitch as well, of course. Here we go. See Feral in chat. Hey, papi. Oh, hello, papi. Hello. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Wish you the best of luck in WTL. Always, always. Best of luck, Feral. Of course, the owner of Berserker Esports. As we see Solar once again going for his hatch gas pull. Standard opener here. Really, I expect NightMare to deviate. As a reminder, last game, NightMare went for a Stargate into Void Ray opener into Hidden Glaive Adepts. But I don't expect the same build 2 games in a row. I expect NightMare to switch things up and to go for something quite different. As we have the Stargate on the way. Because of the placement of the Stargate, this should be an Oracle-based opener instead. Again, on the edge of the main, just so we can zoom across the map as quickly as possible and get some economic damage done. I'm sure Solar's going to have a much more comfortable time here on Oceanborn. Much more comfortable. So we have our third base now on the way. Stargate's almost done. Solar, he did see that Warp Gate was delayed, by the way, so he should be aware that it's going to be a Stargate-based opener. After game 1, he may think it's going to be a Void Ray again, so maybe a little bit tentative. And there it is. It is the Oracle first. So a much more standard opener here by NightMare. As I mentioned before, Solar should be a lot more comfortable in this game state. Should be a lot more comfortable just droning up, saturating his bases, getting into his 3-base setup. Here we go. First Oracle moves out. Solar, he does scout, he does confirm. He is fully aware of what's coming his way. Spores are being thrown down. We have 2 queens at the natural. We have 1 queen in the main. We should soon be rotating over. Oh, yeah, sorry, 2 queens in the main base, so we're perfectly fine. Good split by Solar. We're able to keep up. Oracle tries to go in, but is zoned away. Meanwhile, NightMare doubling down and moving out with his adepts. Second Oracle's on the horizon. So far, so good for Solar. We'll see if he can keep up now with the multi-progression of Adepts and Oracles. As we don't commit to the Shade. Oracle sharking around towards the left-hand side. Second Oracle on the way. Now, with 2 Oracles, you can one-shot drones. Can one-shot workers. Interesting, going for the Revelation instead. Okay. Taking down some of those tumors. Expanding, going for the third. Ooh, the Adepts are out on the map, by the way, which means this third base is exposed. Here we go for this round. And we should manage to get 1 Adept kill. Ooh, 1 Adept goes down. Not bad. We shouldn't get much more than that. As the Adepts, they did race back home. At the same time, Oracles, they get across the map. They managed to get a couple of drone kills. I say a couple. That was 5 workers. Very nicely done. 5 worker kills on that 1 Oracle. So good damage dealt there by NightMare. He saves his third base and he gets some crucial economic damage. Behind this, we're going for 3 more gateways. That's going to be 5 gates in total, plus 1 and Blink. this looks like a standard setup on 3 bases. If you remember, the last time we were on this map, when we were casting Raynor, NightMare went for an 8-gate 3-base all-in. But we have yet to really see any kind of big gateway explosion here, so far, NightMare is going for a longer game. So far. As I say that, another gate gets thrown down. We're going up to 6 gates, still standard on 3 bases. Going up to 6 gateways. Our probe is moving out. NightMare. He may opt to go for it. Once again, he has options. Does have options. Lings, they do come across the map, but we're in position. We shut down the Lings. Thankfully, Solar is throwing down a safety Roach Warren, so he's going to be investing into Lingbane Roach Ravager. The pylon gets scouted. Big moment here for Solar. He shuts down the proxy. We'll get a kill on that pylon. NightMare is still pushing with Blink and +1. And he still wants to reinforce. Throws down his pylon here at the center of the map instead. But we're taking. There we go. 2 gases. We're taking our gases at the 3rd base. We're taking up into a Temple Archives, into Storm. NightMare is not all in. And Solar, with his Queens and Lings, we should be able to hold on here. As I say that, gateway gets thrown down. No roaches yet. A little bit surprising here. Solar skipping out on his roaches. There we go. Now producing them. So because they get a couple of drones. Stasis Trap is baited out. Not a bad engage with those Lings. Speaking of, Solar ready for a surrounder to catch any reinforcements. Going for a counterattack instead. But NightMare's in position. Does protect his 3rd. There it is. Storm is on the way. +2 as well. Charge. NightMare trading nicely. Remember, NightMare, he has no intention of breaking a base. Like, he's poking, prodding, trading with the army. He's building up towards his next step. The next step is going to be Storm. NightMare backs off. Solar, he has eyes on any would-be 4th base. He's got a Ling on the right, and of course his Ling's towards the left. Containing NightMare. NightMare now does expand behind this. 4th base is on the way. Oracles, they dive in towards the 3rd. Towards the 4th even. Ooh, and we do get 3 drones, but we bleed out an Oracle. Not ideal. 5th base on the way for Solar. And he survived. He survived the initial aggression. We have roaches. We have the Hive. We're getting into lurker tech. Okay. Very greedy tech-wise here. Hydrogen into lurkers, into Hive. And I'm a little bit concerned. Now, before Solar can get into his lurkers, Storm is done already. Storm is already done. NightMare should be pushing first. Not going to be easy here for Solar to hold on. I'm liking this Link counterattack. It is keeping NightMare busy, keeping him pinned. And Solar just needs to buy a little bit more time to get into those lurkers. NightMare moving out. Behind this, 2nd Robo's on the way for double Immortal production. Okay, with this production, it looks like NightMare, he's going to be a little bit more defensive. Yep, there we go. Speaking of, I was like, this is looking like his game against Raynor on Ghost River, and there it is. 2 more Stargates and a Fleet Beacon, and NightMare is turtling up. He's just turtling up back at home, stabilizing on 4 bases. He's going to be maxing out and getting into Sky Toss, which means Solar is safe and sound. Solar, he's not dying anytime soon. He will get away with his tech. Ooh, big storms, though, on the Lings. Lurkers have arrived. Now, once Solar realizes what's going on, and he does have the Overseer in the main, he scouts, he sees everything. He has to make a choice. Now that he knows that Sky Toss is on the way from NightMare, either we try to kill NightMare before he gets into his carrier production, or we be greedy and take more bases, drone up to 80, take up into a Spire, double Spire, greater Spire, Ultras, and get ready for the late game. So what's it going to be? What's it going to be here for Solar? Depth Harass on the right hand side. Let's distract him for a moment. Upgrades still on the way for our Ling, main Hydra, the Hydra Lurker Viper. +2 range just now starting. Solar's moving out. Oh, Solar running into the main army though. Lurkers do bar, they take down a lot of Stalkers. And NightMare does manage to get some storms off. But Solar will force him back. Yeah, more Lurkers on the way. Solar, he's going for the kill. He saw the tech, he saw the would-be Sky Toss, and Solar wants to end the game here and now. Zellarumbai runs into reinforcements. Ultras are called out. So Ultras, God, Lurkers are called out. I keep saying Ultras. Yeah, we deny all the Lurkers. And we shut them down as well. Nice revelations, Lurkers are picked up. And Solar, he's forced to transition. Spire is on the way. So Solar, he's backing off. He's taking up into Corruptors, into Broodlords. With that morphin of Lurkers, clearly Solo did want to try to kill NightMare, but alas, he won't be able to. NightMare, he survived. He has survived. Carrier production has commenced. Solar coming in once again with more Lurkers. And there's no shield battery here at the natural. A very exposed base, and we're pushing in. Lurkers, they have burrowed. Big Spine Shots here onto the ground army, but carriers reveal themselves. And we have detection. Yeah, Solar has to back off. The carriers got here just in time. Ooh, big storm on the links. We did get a High Templar. Did manage to get a High Templar as NightMare pushing in once again, catches more of these Lurkers. Storm on the Hydras as well. Yeah, Solar, he's running out of anti-air. He has to back off. Does have to retreat at the same time. A big Zealot counterattack does deny the 5th. Gets into the 4th as well. And a lot of drones have been getting picked up. Also, what, 10 workers going down. The hatchery down to half HP. NightMare, he's holding his own. And his army becoming that much more refined. Archon, Storm, Immortals, carrier production. NightMare is building up his death ball of an army, and Solar has to reluctantly take up. Still only on 1 Spire. Solar taking another base, taking a 6. His worker count is solid, is what I will say. Solar is on 83 drones. Maxing out once again. The upgrades are a little bit lacking, and we'll see if Solar does try to embrace that late game a little bit more. What I mean by that is like a 2nd Spire and double upgrades and a greater Spire. With the arrival of these Vipers, I think Solar wants to try to push in. Like, NightMare has yet to max out. Solar killing his own roaches. Yeah, these are dead supply. Bringing up supply for more Corruptors instead. Another next side on the way. The Nexus on the way here for NightMare. He's in position. And you can see that how different the dynamic is between NightMare and Solar and NightMare and Rainer on Ghost River. Because the map is so much larger, because the map is so much more defendable, like NightMare, he's got a solid line of sight defenses towards the left-hand side. He's safe and sound. He can focus his attention on the right instead. We do get an abduction off. We do catch a carrier. We're looking for another. Ooh, 3 High Templar go down. Big overextension by NightMare. Massive pickoff. Zellarumbai does hit the 6th. Forcing a reaction. You can see the Archon zoning away those Corruptors. Corruptors, they want to dive on that carrier. They just barely can't. Feedback on the Viper. Moved by NightMare. Meanwhile, Solar, he has defended, collapsing on the ground army. Ooh, barely doesn't get the Archon. Oh, does. Does get the Archon in the end. Good pickoff. NightMare pushing in. Reinforces with more High Templar. As he moves out, the Lings move in, and no side defense, no cannons, no shield batteries. But NightMare, he doesn't stop. Big storm here on the Corruptors. Solar trying to collapse on this. We're deep on creep. The storms are still looking solid. We still just zone away these Corruptors. They cannot engage, but no more storms are left. Yeah, no more storms available. We dive on the arm. We focus on every single carrier. NightMare did overextend. He pushed too far in, and he will lose everything. Every Archon, every carrier. NightMare gets cleaned up, and now we can counterattack. Now, unfortunately, there's no Greater Spire. Otherwise, bam, we can just warp in a wave of Broodlords. Instead, we have Hydras. Consul can do well, though. We have a wave of Hydras on the way. We go for the base. We go for the Nexus. Oh, no. We almost got it. Solo pulls back. More concerned with saving his units than killing the Nexus. But that's fine. We have plenty on the way. And NightMare, he's stuck without any Skytels left. He's got Archons, High Templar, getting into Immortal production. NightMare needs time. And Solar is remaxed. Solar should not be giving him that time. Yeah, he takes down the 5th. Takes down the 6th. Now going for the 5th base. Then we catch the Observer. Observer's going down. Hydra's pushing forward. We have Lurkers in position. Even coming in from behind. A little bit ambitious there. But Solar is just shutting down this army. Again, punishing NightMare for overextending. Good storm. But even with these storms, Solar just has too much. He's just overwhelming NightMare. Snowballing out of control. Breaks on into the natural base. Corruptors towards the main. Camping the production. And the wave of Lurkers cannot be stopped. Big spine shots going off with throwing down the caustic spray on the base, on the production, on the gateways. A lot of Corruptors are going to be going down to these Stalkers, but it doesn't matter. Not anymore. Solar has done it, and Solar, he's forcing that ace match. He's not going down without a fight. Oh god, massive spine shots going off here. On the army, on the Archons. 5th base going down. Yeah, NightMare, he has nothing left. GG gets called. Solar ties up the series 1-1. We're going to the ace match. GG. Whew. GG, well played. We're going all the way to game number 3. Let's go. Let us go. Again, NightMare, it did seem like at times he wanted to be a little bit more assertive, a little bit more aggressive, but Solo was able to keep up with him time and time again. NightMare instead embracing a more late game scenario with his Skytoss, and he was getting there. He was able to get into his carrier production, into his Archons, into his Storm. He wasn't doing too poorly defending on his 5-base setup, but again, NightMare, he just pushed out a little bit too far onto creep, maybe just a little bit too overconfident there from the side of NightMare. And Solo was ready to punish him. Did punish him, did shut him down. Ooh, as we have found ourselves in the ace match. Here we go, and it looks like we're going to be joined by some of the other casters as well. Shout out to Into the Inu. Inu is the Korean caster. We have Biomorph as well, joining us from the Americas. I believe he was casting Hero versus Dark, I think, and now we're all joining forces. We're coming together. Ideally, I would have preferred if we had our own halves of the brackets. If Biomorph is joining me, I think that means that there is no one covering the upper half of the bracket, which is a shame. That's where Gumiho is, that's where Shin, Classic, and Björn are. A lot of really good matches going on there. So it is a shame that there is no English coverage, but I think Koka has them. Koka, he's the French caster. Let's see. Let us see. I'm just checking Koka's stream. So in case you want to multi-twitch it up, in case you want to tune into some of the upper matches. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Apparently Koka was restreaming us. Shaking my head. Okay, so yeah, I think that means that there is no one covering the upper bracket. A little bit unfortunate. But regardless, here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Amphion. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing himself, currently teamless, but deserving to be on the team. It is NightMare. Being forced into the ace match, can he bounce back? And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Team Vitality. Forcing that ace match, taking that last game. Does he have the momentum to keep going to take this series? It is Solar. Let's go. Solar should avenge the Zerg Nation. Oh. Double checking here. Wait, I'm pretty sure Hero and Dark did finish. Do we have an update? We do. Hero took down Dark 2-1. Oh boy. And Shin got taken down by Gumiho as well. There are no other Zerg players left. Fun fact, Solar is the final Zerg player left in the tournament. He is the Zerg Hope. Raynor has fallen, Dark has fallen, Shin has fallen as well. No other Zerg players left. Only Terran and Protoss. And Solar. And Solar as we are getting into the ace match. Solar going for a hatch gas pool. Hatch gas pool opener from our Zerg player. NightMare going for a gate expand into Cybercore. So far, nothing crazy. There's no pool first, for example, or gas first. There's no early game aggression from Solar. Again, Solar's just not that kind of player. You know, we talk about some aggressive builds that we have available here in this matchup, and we have seen Dark go for pool first from time to time, or Dark go for hatch blocks, for example, Shin as well. But again, Solar, he thrives a lot more in the mid to late game, or in the mid game and the late game. Solar, he's a lot more standard in the early game. He's not an animal like Dark. Aye. Which I do appreciate. It does show that that the Zerg players in Korea, a lot of them, they have like their own style, they have their own flair, their own personality. That's reflected in their play as well. And to be fair, you can say the same with Cyril and Raynor, for example, where Raynor, he's a lot more wild, a lot more chaotic, a lot more intense. Cyril a lot more standard in his play. I mean, I say that Cyril has been breaking that kind of side of him a little bit. As of the past year, maybe the past 2 years, Cyril has also been a little bit cheesier and has been mixing in like all-ins and aggression as well. It's been great to see Cyril like grow as a player and start to embrace that side of him a little bit more. Showtimes are doing that as well. It's cool to see. Spreading their wings. So now we are just settling into our 3-base setup. Once again, another Stargate opener from NightMare. Oracle first is moving out. He's going for the Oracle first. At the same time, we have both Adepts on the right-hand side. 2 Adepts do one-shot drones, so they can be quite threatening here to Solar as we do shade in. To threaten the shade towards the natural. Oracle pokes in, but we have the Queens in position. So far, so good. Solar's keeping up. Behind this, we have our 3rd base. Interesting, NightMare mining through these minerals, and he's taking the triangular third instead. We have brought this up. This is one of the main features of this map. Oh, going for the stasis. And it does go off. Big stasis here on the Lings. The 3rd base is safe and sound. But we did get into the main. Get one, we get 2. 3 probes here in the main base. That should not have happened. Big pick off there by Solar. As Adepts, they commit to their own shade as well. But good reaction from Solar, minimizing his losses. Doesn't lose many drones. And the Adepts, yeah, they're shut down. What I was getting at is that you can mine through these minerals and take a more secure 3rd base. We have a ramp, we have rocks as well that have to be knocked down. Solar, though, he was very quick, very fast to mine through those minerals, and he is here with his Lings. And keeping the pressure up on NightMare. And forcing NightMare to stay back at home. Lings, they get peeled off into the natural. Ooh, 2 more probes go down. NightMare is getting pulled apart right now. Solar in the main base almost gets another probe. And again, a big reason for this is that NightMare SimCity is here on the right-hand side. He has not walled off that area in between his natural and his third. Well, doesn't have anything there to wall off, I should say. So solid run buys from Solar. As the dust settles, that's going to be 5 dead workers for 17 Lings. Solar's able to maintain himself. The Oracles, they dive in towards the third base. They go for the Queen. Queen goes down. Ooh, a couple of drones as well. Not bad from NightMare. The Oracles barely survive. And that's a lot of the depths moving out. Oracles back off at Eps. They situate themselves here at the entry point, at the mineral wall. Right in the shade. And Solar hasn't gone for roaches, interestingly enough. We have a lair on the way. This could be Ling Hydra from our Zerg player. Otherwise, we would see a roach warren by now. Did I say Ling Hydra? My apologies. It's going to be Ling Muta here from Solar. Very interesting. Bold move. Very risky as well. If we get a scout off, then of course NightMare can start up Phoenix production. Can respond, can react. But NightMare has yet to see the tech. It's on Solar right now to keep this hidden. To keep this hidden from NightMare. Ling dips in. Get shut down. NightMare himself taking up into +1 in charge alongside Storm. But unscattered mutas can snowball out of control. They can very quickly get into a mineral line, just eviscerate it, catch out some high-tech units as well. Units like High Templar, for example. Speaking of Solar Scouts, he confirms that High Templar are on the way. The Storm is being researched. And despite the fact that NightMare is being active with these Oracles, he is getting some damage done, but he is not scouting. Does have an observer just outside.
I have met the enemy.
At the same time, Big Ling counterattack. We collapse on top of the High Templar. Storm isn't done. The High Templar. 2 High Templar go down. Big pick up. Storm is still not done here. Hybrid base on the way. NightMare going for the 4th. Very greedy 4th base here from NightMare. But the mutas are coming out. And again, completely unscattered. Oh, did I misspeak? Would you have a Phoenix on the way? And 2 more Stargates. Let's go. Okay, we are getting ready. Here at the natural, there's a shield battery, no cannon, no site defense in the main base either. But the mutas are spotted. Zealots are pushing in. They do collapse on top of the Queens. No Banelings to defend. But the mutas, they get across the map. They get into the mineral line. Probes are going down. At the same time, the Queens are struggling. And we're bleeding out Queens. As they'll say, break through the defensive line. 3, 4 Queens go down. And at the same time, the mutas are being forced back. Phoenixes, they shut down the mutas, at least initially. But we're doubling down. We have +1 air attack. More mutas on the way. Now, against a small amount of Phoenixes, we can still shut them down, as you can see here. Solar can still fight back. But the longer this goes on, the higher the Phoenix count gets, the more difficult it's going to be for Solar. His initial wave of mutas were not worth it. Here we go, we get into the mineral line. Still no cannon, still only 1 shield battery. Control out of NightMare. Does react in time, does pull back. You can see Solar just trying to bait out the army. Gets a volley off. And another. Gets a Phoenix. Ooh, and almost another as well. Again, you have to be very careful with your movement here from NightMare as he runs into the mutas. 2 Phoenixes go down. Brutal losses at the same time. The Lings have arrived, but knocking down that wall. Never mind. Plenty in position. Storm is done. Ooh. Speaking of massive storms on the mutas. Storms, they do connect. Solar rotating around. Behind this Solar, he's on 80 workers, has a solid economy. Now what's important here, even though Solar isn't killing NightMare per se, but Solar is left alone, right? Like his bases, his economy has been left untouched for quite some time. The Zealot run by earlier killed Queens, but did not kill drones. And now Solar is reinforcing with Corruptors. The Corruptors, they zone away the Phoenixes. As the Mutas break through, we go for the Gateway. The Gateway goes down, Lings, they flood in. We're breaking the natural. Shield battery goes down as well. Good target firing here out of Solar. And the main army was out of position, but now we have Storms. Solar, he does respect the High Templar. He backs up, retreating from the Storm and from the Archons. Both Oracles are being thrown away. Bit of misjudgment there from NightMare as he rotates around. He's going for the hybrid base, going for the fourth. And NightMare is out of position, dragged from one end to the other. His army's rotating over. We catch the Prism at the same time. Ling run by here towards the natural, and NightMare cannot keep up. And the shield battery was not rebuilt. No shield battery, no cannon. The Lings, they break through. At the same time, NightMare, do we just go for a counterattack? Do we just go all in? I say all in. Do we just commit? And we're going. Do have Storms. NightMare threatening a push. Solar, he ignores it, just goes for another Ling run by. Stays at home with the Mutas. Oh! Takes the Storm to the face. Lings, they run into Zealots. Zealots will be able to trade well for themselves, but they do get overwhelmed. And the Mutas, they just bypass the army. They catch the Oracles. Finally, the Oracles go down from the start of the game, and we're going for the Nexus. And NightMare, base trade. Let's go. Natural base goes down. At the same time, NightMare pushing in towards the natural of Solar. Phoenix is trading well. Kiting back. And we're getting on top of the tech. We're getting on top of the Spire. Ooh, big storm on the Mutas. But I believe it was only one storm. Yeah, we collapse here on top of that Nexus. We can see NightMare expanding northward with his army. Forward. That's fine. And NightMare with his Archons, can we break through? Again, there's no roaches to defend. There's no lurkers, for example. No broodlords. I don't know if we can deal with this army. But what I can say is that NightMare, his economy is struggling. It's barely an economy here. Corruptors, they push forward. They're getting on top of the Phoenixes. And we have broken the main. NightMare is being knocked down to one base. And he's coming back. He's turning back around. We depower the gateways. The Phoenixes, again, getting caught out. They're getting caught out. Mutas turning back around. Going for the Nexus. They will get it. And yeah, NightMare, he's racing back home, but there's nothing to come back to. The main base has been forfeit. There's only the one base left here for NightMare. Meanwhile, we do have Zealots wreaking havoc. Oh, that's 50 drones going down. Oh my god. Zealots in every single mineral line, and this is getting close here. Solar down to 30 drones. He did save a lot of workers towards the bottom right. Did save some workers here. But Solar, his own economy in shambles. And you know what? We saved the main. As there's not much here, but we do save it. NightMare pushing in. Takes out an Overlord. Gets a Queen. Keeping the main army here at the Nexus. Well, honestly, all Solar has to do is contain. All Solar has to do is just contain the army. Kill the main base. And just expand and take the rest of the map. That's all that Solar needs to do. Slow and steady here. NightMare does move out. He exposes his base. Uh-oh. It's vulnerable. Base is vulnerable. Mutas, they turn back for a moment. They could go for the Nexus. Do we have a recall? We do have a recall, but we go straight for the base. Straight for the mineral line. Probes are going down. The next side, it's gonna fall. This isn't worth it here for NightMare. He's sure he gets the main, but it doesn't matter. The base goes down, and we could just kill NightMare with elimination. NightMare, no more probes. NightMare has 0 workers, 0 probes. He cannot throw down another building. And yeah, we can just go for the main. There are gases. There are still gases here on the left-hand side. Oh, we catch the Phoenixes. We do catch the Phoenixes, and yeah, NightMare, he's all in at this point, but I don't see him winning this base trade. It's not going to happen. Not with a base being taken towards the bottom right. There's just too many bases out there. And Solar, he doesn't have to fight the army. That's like best case scenario for NightMare is to fight the mutas. Because he has so many Archons. And yeah, the Lings, they're going for the main. Mutas, they shut down the gas geysers. Phoenixes, they can't really do much. The base trade is the only hope, but it's a little bit bleak here for NightMare. This should not work. So let's get the spawning pools. Let's get the spawning pool. Overlords are getting caught out as well, but this is it. These are the final buildings of NightMare. Not like this. We're down to 3 gateways, 5 pylons, and 1 Stargate. GG gets called. The writing is on the wall, and Solar, he bounces back in this series. Does take the series 2-1, advancing on to the semis. GG. GG, well played. Solar, he has made it to the semifinals. That was a wild series though, very back and forth. And yeah, much closer than we expected. Again, NightMare has been improving a lot. NightMare has been improving so much over the past year of play. Getting better and better and better results. Being able to go toe-to-toe with players like Solar, like Dark, like Raynor, for example, Cure, and anyone out there. Very impressive. GG, well played. Solar does take the series, advances on to the semifinals, but a shout out to NightMare because he made a series out of it. You know, you don't get a great series with only 1 player, but with 2 players being able to keep up with each other, making for a good matchup. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Solar. And with that, we have our semifinals ready for us. We had a player patiently waiting, !B in the chat, if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves.